Action.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Under the Lights podcast by Mountain Sports. We are back, baby.
Let's go.
I'm your host, D, and today I am here with Rock, and we are going over the Broncos draft picks, going through each of the picks' skill sets, will they fit the team, what makes them fit the team, and how we feel about the pick.
And we're going to give them grades, too.
Oh, yeah. We're getting in-depth about this one, baby. Before we get into all of that, let's take a minute and get a word from our sponsor.
Pathway Home Lending and Real Estate. If you are looking to buy, sell, or refinance your home anytime soon, please feel free to give us a call, 303-748-3799, or check us out on the website at pathwayhomelending.com.
This was one of the few times, in recent memory at least, where the entire draft as a whole felt good for each team.
Yeah.
I felt like each team drafted very well in this draft.
It was interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think there was a couple questionable picks for sure, but I think ultimately most teams hit on majority of their draft picks.
What surprised you about the draft this year?
I don't think it was as much of players rising and falling before or during the draft as much as it usually is, or as frequent as it is. But I think where some of the players went and ended up going was the biggest surprise.
Give me an example.
I think Ty Simpson at 13 is the biggest one.
Yeah, that was a big
I think a lot of people weren't expecting that. I understand the pick, quarterback for the future, and they're going to let him develop, and they're going to develop him, I think, really well in Los Angeles. But for a team being a couple points away from being in yet another Super Bowl and competing for a Super Bowl, that pick just didn't seem right to me.
That high of a draft pick for a future development quarterback when they are in a window and they could have taken a player in a position of need that could have impacted their run to a Super Bowl. So, yeah, that was definitely a surprise to me. I just don't know if I was more surprised about the Rams selecting him or that he went that high, because I didn't expect Ty Simpson to be that high of a pick.
I thought he was going to go in the first round. Definitely, I saw a team trading back into the first to select him. In my mock, I had Arizona trading with Arizona for the last pick in the first to take Ty Simpson. That's right. Where I had him. That's where most people had him, was in the late first. But 13 and to a contending team currently that's the biggest surprise of the draft.
It was a reach. I definitely feel like it was a reach.
It was like, I see their mindset and motive behind it, because you've seen teams like the Packers do it not once but multiple times and it work out for them and get franchise quarterbacks when they didn't need one.
Right.
But I never have liked that mindset or philosophy in drafting people. I think you got to draft the best player available in your most prioritized position of need.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And that the Rams just didn't do that. But, if it's going to work out for any team, I would bet my money on the Rams being one of them. So
yeah, not my pig, not my farm, right?
We'll see how it plays out.
Yep.
So the Denver Broncos wrapped up their draft. They had a total selection of 7 picks. Let's get into the Broncos' 7 draft selections. This pick, I believe, is the one that fans didn't find flashy or sexy, and that would be Tyler Onyedim, defensive tackle from Texas A&M. This pick really wasn't that need for me quite yet in the draft.
Yeah.
I feel like that could have been addressed a little later on, but I understand why they picked him here.
Sure.
He is a big body defender. He's super athletic as a defensive tackle, but his pass rush is his biggest flaw.
Right.
So let's get into his strengths and weaknesses. We'll start with his strengths. And by the way, we agreed with these strengths, but they are by NFL.com and the draft profile. We kind of handpicked these on ones that we agreed with and put them on here because they stood out to us.
Yeah, we went and reviewed all the strengths and weaknesses of all these draft picks and decided what we kind of agreed with based on our own independent review of game film. And so we agreed with some of the strengths and some of the weaknesses, based off the NFL profile, but some of them we didn't necessarily agree with, so we left those ones out.
Yep. So starting off with his strengths, his ability to work around blocks, I believe, is super crucial and key, and that's his biggest impact on the field immediately, is his run defense.
Absolutely.
His twitchiness and explosive first step is another one that stands out. He reminds me a lot of Von Miller with just that explosiveness on the first step.
Yeah, right off the ball.
Yep. His ability to chase and make open field tackles, especially at the defensive tackle position, I think is going to fit super well in this defense.
Yeah.
You're not going to like this one so much, but his spin move. It's such a good move to have if you can do it right and you're athletic enough to pull it off and keep yourself in the play. And he does that. He needs to learn time and place for it, because I think in college he utilized it too much because it worked all the time. But in the NFL, it's not going to work. You do it once or twice on a lineman, they're going to know, and they're going to put you on your face after they catch on to it.
Absolutely, and that's exactly why I don't like it. You lose your foundation. You lose your balance.
Yep.
Anytime that you put yourself in a spin move. And these offensive linemen, they know as soon as you start that spin, they're just going to give you a good shove, and you're going to end up in the dirt.
Yeah. So moving on to Onyedim's weaknesses. He hasn't set up his pass rush. That's his biggest flaw, is his lack of pass rush ability.
Yeah.
And that's what stands out the most probably to anybody that watches him. And he also needs better handwork on not only the pass rush, but the run game as well.
Sure.
He used his body too much to get past defenders in college, which worked for him, but it's not going to work in the NFL. It goes back to the spin move. Do it once or twice, they're going to catch on to it, and it's not going to be a sufficient move anymore.
Right.
He struggles with good zone blockers and downhill run blocking schemes, and that's a crucial one in the NFL because majority of teams run some sort of zone run scheme.
Yeah. I think all those things are coachable, and that's what I'd be curious to see, if he can be coached up in those areas of weaknesses. I think that Tyler Onyedim very strong at the point of attack. He plays with so much power and leverage that it keeps him in those gaps, and that's what makes him such a strong run stopper, is because he can keep himself in those gaps and not get forced out of them. The offensive line is trying to force him out of those gaps, but he can keep himself in there. Now, unfortunately, it's that same reason that he lacks in his pass rush, is because he gets stuck in those gaps.
He does.
So I want to see him learn, that NFL technique to get rid of those blockers and be able to shoot those gaps to actually put some pressure on the quarterback. He's shown some flashes in his game film that really kind of makes me believe that this might be something that he can work on. And I think that if he can, with a couple of good off seasons and some solid coaching, he can absolutely be a game wrecker.
Oh, I 100% agree. I think he fully has the ability to be a game wrecker, almost like the Derek Wolfe, Malik Jackson, Von Miller,
Yes.
all of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
He definitely,
especially in that position.
Absolutely.
On the interior line.
And I think if he develops that pass rush ability and it gets consistent enough, he's going to be a dominant force on this defense.
Definitely,
and I
I
think
agree.
he will fill that JFM role perfectly.
Yeah. Maybe even more effectively, because I think he's got more athleticism than JFM.
I agree. JFM was a big body, and he had that grown man strength.
Right.
And he knew how to use it, and that's why he was so dominant in the run and pass game. He just would disrupt the quarterback and everything. Next, Broncos draft pick. I think this one is a big one and a fan favorite amongst Bronco fans. I'm going to have to say, Jonah Coleman was not my top back in the draft, but my favorite back in the draft. He has all the skill sets and tangibles that I would look for in a running back.
Yeah.
He is great running the ball. He is great running between the tackles. He's great out of the backfield catching the ball. He's great in pass pro and blocking downfield for other players in open space.
Yes.
Let's get into his strengths and weaknesses.
Let's do it.
His strength, starting off, his ability to create extra yards.
Huge.
Almost every play you watch of Jonah Coleman, he is dragging a defender or running over someone to get an extra 2 or 3 yards, and that matters in the NFL. It's a game of inches, and if you're getting 2 or 3 yards every play, you're more than likely going to win that game of inches.
Absolutely.
The one that stands out the most to me in Jonah Coleman, and I think to most people that scouted this guy, 1 fumble in 4 seasons.
It's remarkable.
That's insane. He holds on to the ball, and if you watch him run, high and tight. And that's the most important thing to look for in a running back. I would say an offensive skill position.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is how well do you protect the football and
Definitely.
not give the other team the ball back.
Yep.
He's a great blocker in open field and protection pickup on blitzes. He has a quote. I'm referring to it here. I'm not going to get it exactly, but he said, if I'm not protecting the $100 million quarterback, I'm not going to be employed.
It's true.
Got
to protect both.
What other mindset would you want a running back to have? Instead of being the diva, give me the ball.
Yeah.
I'm here to protect the quarterback. That obviously, if you do that, you're going to get your fair share of touches and opportunity, and
For sure.
I love that mindset.
Me too. It's huge.
Lastly, on his strengths, his open field cuts and elusiveness. This one, to me, is that strength, and it goes to one of his weaknesses. He is able to make defenders miss and run through people, but he's not a big tackle breaker.
Yeah.
When he runs through someone, he'll get tripped up and they'll pull him down, or he'll just get tackled. And with his frame and athletic ability, I would expect him to break a lot more tackles, not just run through people and break them, but break through those arm tackles and tackles to his lower half of his body. It just doesn't happen for him, and that's one of his weaknesses. And going into his weaknesses, he has slow feet between the tackles. You're a big running back guy, kind of an old school football kind of guy.
Yep.
Smash mouth football. How do you feel about one of his weaknesses being slow feet while running between the tackles?
You know, it's interesting, right? Because you could talk slow feet, or you could talk about patience, right? To me, those slow feet might just be him being patient. That's what you want to see. One of my favorite attributes of Jonah Coleman is that he doesn't dance in the backfield. He's not trying to figure out where he's going to go. He's a guy who puts his foot in the ground and he goes, but he does have that patience to wait for that hole to develop. And then once he does, he explodes through it. One cut, upfield. And as an old school football guy, that's my kind of running back. That's what I like to see. He reads his blocks very well, and if it's not there, he's going to fight for it. He's going to make a hole. And like you said, he's not going to go down at the first contact. He's going to continue to fight for extra yards. I love that about Jonah Coleman.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think that goes more so to him being a patient runner.
Yeah.
I think he reminds me, like his play style isn't similar, but his patience is similar to Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
He doesn't force anything, and he waits for the right hole to open to gain 5 yards every run instead of forcing something and getting 1 or 2 yards and then eventually having a 15-yard run.
You're right.
I'd rather have someone that averaged 5 yards per carry instead of someone that averaged almost 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I want somebody who's going to consistently be moving the chains when it's necessary. That's what I want to see in the running game.
Yeah, and the only other weakness of Jonah Coleman, and it goes back to what we were talking about, was his slow burst. And I think that could relate to his slow feet between the tackles, as he doesn't have quite that burst that when he does get going, he doesn't get through there quick enough compared to other running backs in the NFL.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, at the end of the day, what do we want a running back to do? We want him to move the chains. You know, and so much we struggled this past season in sustaining drives. We would take a lead on a team, but then turn over the ball and let them right back into the game. So if we can get our running game going to the point to where we are extending this drives and eating up the clock, that's a win for us. And I think Jonah Coleman's going to give us the ability to do that.
Oh, I fully agree. Moving on to the Broncos' next pick. This guy I don't think was scouted or very commonly known by Bronco fans during the draft process, but I think a lot of people are going to know him very soon. That is offensive lineman from Boise State, Cage Casey. Cage Casey is definitely a project pick, but his athletic ability and the fact that he swings positions from tackle and guard, I think is huge in our offense. And from what I've seen is he's going to mostly play guard, but play tackle when and if we need him to. And I think that's going to be huge for him.
Yeah.
Because from what we saw, he's your typical, like, big athletic lineman, but his footwork and the abilities it gives him from his lack of footwork makes him a 4th-round pick.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he definitely has. I don't know. This guy's weird. I didn't know much about him until after we drafted him. So
I never even heard his name until we drafted him.
It's a cool name, Cage Casey.
Yeah,
it sounds like it's a Ninja Turtle name.
Yeah, he's a villain on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But he has the size and movement skills, minus the footwork. He has great inside mirror and leverage skills to prevent defenders from going back inside on him.
Yeah.
But if his feet aren't in the right spot when that happens, he's getting beat.
Right.
And his footwork is the biggest development he needs, and that's what stands out the most. But let's go to his strengths.
Yeah, let's get into those.
His block finishing mentality. Most people you see in college and NFL, they're engaged with their first guy, kind of get him out of the play and leave it be. And most of the time you see those guys come back in and probably finish the play most of the time.
Yep.
Not him. He won't stop the play until his guy's either pancaked or he knows for sure he's out of the play. What also stands out is his ability to identify the pre-snap movement. You saw a lot in his tape. Recognize the blitzer, a stunt was coming on the defense, and he would be the one to acknowledge his offensive line, what was coming, and change the line protection. That stood out to me a lot, and that's something you want on the offensive line, especially for someone with a young quarterback like Bo.
Yeah, definitely. You need that communication up front.
Yep. Redirect and mirror inside moves, kind of like I said. He's really good at preventing defenders from going inside, but if his feet are not in the right spot, he's toast.
Yep.
Ability to sit down and hold his ground against power. A lot in his film as well. You would see him get bull rushed against higher edge or higher pristine edge rushers in college football.
Yeah.
And he held his own on those bull rushes. He's just so big and strong. He would hold them back. He wouldn't lose his balance or anything. But that goes back. Bad footwork, he would get caught off balance.
Yes.
So I think literally his lack of footwork is the biggest thing that stands out to me in his weaknesses, and I think that's coachable.
Oh, yeah, I do too. I mean, at 6'6", 310 pounds, that's a big object to try to move, no matter how fast you're coming at him. It's almost hitting a brick wall.
Yeah. Before we go to his weaknesses, one of his strengths is actually who he is off the football field.
Yeah, I read or saw a really cool story about, you mentioned pancake blocks, and he did a fundraiser for a local food kitchen or food bank in the Boise area, where him and his wife were donating money for each pancake block that he got that season. He ended up donating over $6,000 to this soup kitchen, which is just remarkable. I love hearing those stories about players being so involved in the community and already giving back to the community. And you know what, I'll tell you what, Denver is one of those communities where we almost expect our athletes to be involved in the community just because they have been naturally. Yep. So now it's become kind of an expectation for players in the community to be involved and to give back to the community.
Absolutely.
And I think that Cage Casey is going to be one of those. I think he's going to be a fan favorite once he starts actually getting playing time.
I agree. So everybody, let's give Cage Casey a round of applause. I always say being a great athlete is one thing, but being a better human being is even better. And this guy is the perfect example of that.
Yeah, I got a couple notes that I'd like to share about Cage after watching his tape. There's two important notes to really kind of put out there. I think that he is a project pick. I think it's important for us to understand that going into it.
Yep.
I don't think anybody, even Sean or George Payton, expect him to be a starter day one. He's not going to be. This might be a 2 or 3 year project. And I don't hate the pick. I think it's always, offensive line is so important. It's good to have people ready in the wings whenever you need them, especially because the NFL, an injury is 100% guaranteed. He does have great hand technique, like you talked about, pretty slow feet as well. And I think because of that, it brings me to my second point. I think that he is going to have to move inside. I don't think that he is going to be able to hang with NFL elite edge rushers And I think because of that, he's going to be an inside player in that guard position. So I think it's going to be important to kind of have those expectations, unless he can develop, right? Give him a couple years, in the wings with a good offensive line coach and learning from guys like Garrett Bowles and Mike McGlinchey. Who knows? He could very well be a starting left or right tackle in the NFL after a couple seasons.
Yeah, I think for the sake of his career and development, I think moving him to guard would be best, just because his lack of footwork. Being a guard, you don't have to worry about it as much as you do a tackle, and taking such wide side steps to block. I think it'd be huge for him. He's a great run blocker, more than a pass blocker, I'd have to say. So I think moving to guard would just benefit him the most.
Yeah, definitely most impactful for him and his skill set.
Absolutely. Moving on to the next Broncos draft pick. This guy, I think, is who I'm most excited for in the draft.
Me too.
He just has pure talent, and I think he's going to be a great addition to the offense, and Broncos country should be excited for him. And that would be Justin Jolie, tight end from North Carolina State. Justin Jolie is definitely an upside pick. They drafted him for the potential he has. And I would have done the exact same thing if I was a scout and I seen this guy's tape.
Yeah.
He has natural receiving potential. What we saw on tape, if you throw him a 50-50 ball, it's more than likely a 60-40 ball or 65-35 ball.
He's getting that ball.
His hands and just catch ability and catch radius, everything to catch the balls he makes him, I'm not going to say an elite receiver, but I'm going to say a great receiver.
He's got the potential of it, right? And
Absolutely.
I think that's what's important is we have to, he's a fourth-round pick. I'm sorry, no, he's a fifth-round pick. He's our fourth overall pick.
Yep.
And so there's a reason why he was that late in the draft. And we'll talk about that when we get into his weaknesses.
Yep.
But I think there is some tremendous potential in this kid.
Absolutely. So let's start off with his strengths. He has a good wingspan with huge hands. He measured in at the combine, I believe, with 10.5-inch hands. Wow.
Do you know what they say about guys with big hands? They're great at catching footballs.
He is sturdy and strong with ability to catch through contact. That was what stood out to me a lot on the film. He would get hit immediately after catching the ball, and not once did the ball even come close to dropping. Once he had it in his hands, he wasn't letting it go. And I love that in a pass catcher.
It's impressive. That's what you want to see, is somebody sure-handed like that that's going to bring that in.
Yep. Next up, his route adjustments against traffic. He reminds me a lot of Shannon Sharp and Travis Kelce in the way if his route develops and he is covered by, the defense is in the zone and they're in the zone he's supposed to be in, he finds the open spot.
Yeah.
And if you're in man on him, again, it's not a 50-50 ball. So you're probably going to lose that matchup. But in the zone, he's great at finding an open spot. And then off of that, another strength he has is not only finding an open spot, it's developing the play with the quarterback. If the quarterback scrambles out, he is great at going along with the quarterback and helping his quarterback out.
Yeah, he's really good at improvising when the play breaks and the quarterback's got to escape the pocket. He doesn't just kind of, I ran my route, I'm just going to stay here. No, he's going to improvise, and he's going to stretch that route out and try to put himself in a position where the quarterback can make a play.
Yeah, and that just makes for a great safety valve for a young quarterback, and I think that's exactly what Bo Nix needs on this team right now.
Yes.
All you see on this guy's tape is the quarterback almost forcing the ball to this guy because he just relied on him that much. Because if you threw it to him, more than likely he's coming down with it. And I'm telling you, this guy I think is going to be a great pick, not only for Broncos country, but more so for Bo Nix. I'm telling you, by the end of the season, I think this guy is going to be our surefire number one tight end.
I hope so. I'm excited about his potential, and I can definitely see that happening as well.
Weaknesses. What does this guy lack? We've been hyping him up. So what made him a fifth-round pick? He drifts on route turns quite a bit, and we saw that in the film. Some simple out route would turn in almost to a corner route just by how much he would drift upfield. You don't want that in a receiver. And a young guy, you kind of expect it almost, especially a fifth-round pick.
Yeah.
But that's something that should be and more than likely will be coached out of him by the end of training camp, I'd have to say.
Yeah, you get him in that room with those other tight ends and the tight end coaches, they're immediately going to start working on cleaning up those routes.
Yep. He does have trouble securing hip and back shoulder throws, and I think that kind of plays into those 50-50 balls and almost being the safety valve for the quarterback. You're not going to catch every single ball that's thrown to you,
No.
especially if you're being mugged by a corner. Right. It's not going to happen. But I think especially in a system that fits you, you're not going to get a lot of back shoulder throws. Hip throws, that's different because you might have something that's low or a little awkward, and it depends where the corner's at. But your job as a receiver, and I was taught this at a very young age, if the ball hits your hands, you got to catch that thing.
If you can touch it, you can catch it.
Exactly. There's going to be bad throws. It happens. Not every quarterback is going to throw it right to you or throw it to where you can catch it. But if it is and your hand touches it, you better come down with that thing. And I feel like Justin Jolie lives by that.
Absolutely, I agree. You know, Justin Jolie is such a fascinating pick for me, and I'm really excited about him. I feel like the Paytons see this almost as a project pick. I say the Paytons, Sean Payton and George Payton, see it as a project pick. But I think he can be serviceable in this offense very quickly. You know, he is the type of tight end that this team has needed for a very long time. You know, he's not going to be a game changer in run blocking, but I think with time and some patience and development, I think he can be a game changer in the passing game. And that makes this an exciting pick for me.
I fully agree. And his last weakness, and I think the biggest thing for him, but you got to remember, he is mainly a pass-catching tight end, but it's his run blocking. He has the strength and athleticism to be a good run blocker. I just think he lacks some of the traits and tangibles it takes to be a good run blocker and almost the willingness to be a run blocker.
There you go. Took the words right out of my mouth.
From what you could see, it's not even an effort thing. I just think he knows his skill set and what he's best at, and I mean, I would do the same thing.
Yep.
And he got drafted to a great team where he's not going to be expected to be a run-blocking tight end because we have so many of them on the roster and so many of them that are good at it.
Yeah.
Like, he was drafted to be a pass-catching tight end, almost a receiver.
And we're going to talk about another draft pick that I think was drafted to be more of a run-blocking tight end.
Absolutely. Moving on to the Broncos. Next pick, and it was their first of 3 seventh-round draft picks, and that would be Miles Scott, safety from Illinois. Miles Scott, I feel like the Broncos selected him to be mainly a special teams pick, and I say that, no disrespect to Miles Scott, but it's what the Broncos do, and if you look at their history, it's what they've done for a couple years. P.J. Locke, when he was drafted, he was the special teamer and then eventually played his way up to a starting safety.
Right.
Due to injury, of course, but he was a starting safety, and I think he played well a couple of games he was in there. A couple years ago, we draft J.L. Skinner, same role. He's going to fill that P.J. Locke role now.
Yep.
I think Miles Scott is the pick to replace J.L. Skinner on special teams and to be almost that special teams ace in a sense.
Yeah, and if you're going to draft a player to play specifically on special teams, the 7th round is the right place to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, majority of history, special teamers are 7th round guys or undrafted guys.
Yeah.
And you're going to make your living in the NFL as a later round pick through special teams. If a team drafted you specifically for special teams, go out there, make a name for yourself, and make special teams yours.
The Broncos have a proven history of players that earn their spot on this team by playing special teams.
It's almost, I feel like that's how you almost get the backup safety spot, is you have to earn it through special teams. It's almost the Broncos tradition.
And there's one guy that if he didn't play special teams, he would never got an opportunity to play on this team. And now he's in the Hall of Fame. He's got a Super Bowl ring. He was a Super Bowl MVP, and I'm talking about Terrell Davis. So if you can show out on special teams and show these coaches what you could do, you'll get the opportunity to become a starter.
Yeah, it just goes to show. You put your head down, grind it out, roll with the punches, and when you have your opportunity, make the most of it. Your name will be a common one amongst the league.
You could be in that ring of fame.
So going into Miles Scott breakdown with his strengths and weaknesses, this guy's interesting. He started as a walk-on wide receiver at Illinois and transitioned to safety due to injuries in the secondary. So the coach asked him to switch, and he did, became an instant starter, and now is a 7th-round pick at safety. I mean, to be switched positions and play it for 3 years and then get drafted, I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly is.
I think switching from receiver to defensive back is a decently easy switch.
It makes the most sense. If
does.
there's a position you have to change in football, it's going from wide receiver or corner to wide receiver, just because those skill sets translate so well.
Yeah, so I think Miles Scott, I'm going to do him a little backwards. No pun intended. That was weird. Pause. Since he switched positions, he kind of lacks the skills that a normal safety would have that was drafted. He was drafted due to his pure athleticism skills, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it certainly does.
So his weaknesses are coverage, speed, ball skills, and versatility.
Exactly the skills that you need in a safety.
Exactly. But if you look at his career stats, he had 7 interceptions through college. You watch his film, most of those interceptions were the quarterback making a bad play, a quarterback mistake. Granted, he was in the right spot, which you want from a safety, and he has the athleticism to be a good safety.
Definitely.
He just needs to learn the skills, and I think being on a defense like the Broncos and being able to learn behind Hufanga, Brandon Jones at safety, and then your coverage skills behind Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, and then Vance Joseph defense, I think this guy could develop the tangibles to be a good backup safety in the NFL in a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think he's got some definitely tangible qualities that could allow him to give himself that opportunity.
Yeah, I think his strengths that would make him a great special teamer this year and help him develop into a good safety, his pursuit, effort, and tackling angles. You didn't really see too much on his film besides the interceptions and a couple fumble recoveries and a couple forced fumbles, but it wasn't anything that stood out, especially for safety film. But, I mean, he got the job done. And like we have talked about, going from a special teamer, you're going to get your opportunity. So I just want Miles Scott to make the most out of that opportunity. And I hope to see him playing safety for us. That's my goal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now he is a special teams pick. There's no question about that. He needs to work so much on his cover skills. He's a little bit slow in processing coverage as well as his route concepts.
I agree.
That can come with time. That is a coachable attribute for sure. But he is willing to come downhill and make a tackle. You know, I don't hate this pick for a special teams player, like I talked about, especially in the 7th round, because I think he's going to be great in that role. And if he can be great in that role, it will give him the opportunity to get into that secondary in the future.
I absolutely agree. Moving on to the Broncos' second of 3 7th-round picks, we have a double dip at tight end. Dallin Bentley from Utah. Mr. Bentley, what a great name.
Right?
Shout out
Little
Book.
Bear.
He, 7th-round tight end. You can't have too much high expectations, but if you're going to have him, this might be the guy to put him on.
Yeah. There's a lot about this that is intriguing, but again, it's one of those picks. We talked earlier about, drafting another, run blocking tight end. Dallin Bentley is that guy. So we'll see how his skills progress, though.
Absolutely. So going into his strengths and weaknesses, starting with his strengths, he's a big target with a big wingspan. He's 6'4", 1/8", and 253. I'm not sure his exact wingspan, but he is a super big body with long arms. His arm measurement is 33 1/4 for his arms. That just, it's a hard target to miss as a quarterback.
Yeah, definitely.
He has good timing on workup blocks, which is great in our offense. That's almost exactly what you want in a tight end.
Yep.
He can stay engaged with his second-level targets, which, again, is great in our scheme with our running game. He brings the ball in with his soft but sticky hands. His weaknesses. What made him a 7th-round tight end? He has slow hands as a run blocker. The defenders would disengage from his blocks a little too often for my liking.
Yeah, especially with his specialty being a run blocking tight end.
Yeah, he was a great receiving tight end in the red zone, but he kind of lacks the speed, burst, and somewhat of the athleticism to be an open field receiving tight end.
He's not going to outrun a linebacker on coverage.
Absolutely. He is super inconsistent in the fitting and positioning on his run blocks.
Yeah.
So he finds himself usually misplaced and then eventually disengaged with the defender. He has a below average drive through contact in lower half. So more than likely, if a defender hits him in his legs, he's going down.
Right.
And for how big he is, I want him to break those tackles.
Yeah, he's got to be able to take a hit.
Yep. The lack of tenacity to sustain blocks is the one that stands out to me the most. And I felt really the need to throw that on here because being drafted to be a run blocking tight end, you got to be tenacious.
You got to be nasty.
You got to be, and he lacks that.
Yeah.
And I want to see him. I want that dog in him. I want that to come out.
Absolutely. And that's why this is such an interesting pick for me.
Yeah. He allows closing defenders to eat off his plate, is how NFL worded it. And after watching his film, I agree with it.
Yeah.
Often you would find him snag the catch, pull it in, contact would come in, he would lose the ball, or ball would get popped out and the defense would come up with it. Or that goes back to his lack of run blocking tenacity. He would lose the block and the defense would be able to make a play on whoever had the ball. And that is the biggest thing that I think Sean Payton is going to coach out of him, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Dallin Bentley looks the part. He's a big body guy, and he's quick. I see Bentley really as a utility tool in this position. I'm just not sure what his rep count's going to be.
Yeah.
And when he does get the chance, I hope he can show some versatility and consistency. He can stay in and block. He can leak out for a short, intermediate route. But we already have that guy on this roster. We've got several of that guy.
We got several of them,
And so, because of that, I'm not sure what kind of reps he's going to get. But I certainly hope that he can find a way to get himself in the mix.
Yeah. I think... I feel like we say this with every draft pick, but he has the potential to be great. We just have to see those tiny flaws and those tangibles come to life for him to succeed.
Yeah, and he's got to put in the work to work his way up the depth chart.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing for him, too, that I've seen is his route running in space. It's almost as if when his route breaks off and the ball's not to him yet, he's not quite sure what to do and how to react to it.
Yeah.
So he just kind of finds himself wandering in space and becoming just another player on the field and almost an object in the way for his offense.
Oh, I'm sure Bo's going to let him know what he needs to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So what notes do you got on Mr. Bentley?
Yeah, I think just the kind of the things that I really already shared about, his ability to, I don't want to call it ability to, but I think just kind of what his role on this team is really going to be. I think that's uncertain yet. And I think it all really comes down to what his development looks like during training camp and what these coaches can do with him. He has talent, so I don't want to take that away from him. I think there's just there's so much improvement that needs to take place before he's going to earn a spot on the field. So I'm not sure that if we're going to see him, I don't even know I'm sure that I'm going to see him much in preseason, much less the regular season.
Yeah.
I almost even question his ability to make the roster.
Yeah, he definitely has to have a really good training camp and stand out amongst the other tight ends and veteran tight ends on the roster to make the roster. You're absolutely right on that. And I think Justin Jolie is almost a guarantee. I'm not just because he's a 5th-round pick. There's obviously the question if he's going to make the roster and how he'll translate
to work
and how he'll translate to the NFL. But I think Jolie compared to Bentley is the one that's on the fence.
Yep.
That you're most worried about making the roster. And I think that's just because he's the most raw prospect we have at tight end on the roster.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely.
Moving on to the final pick of the Broncos draft, Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant.
He is getting his own parade.
That's so interesting.
Should
we go?
We should, yeah.
Should
Let's
go
go celebrate Mr. Red Murdock. Mr. irrelevant Red Murdock. This guy, I'm not going to say I'm the most excited about that we picked, but I think he's the most interesting prospect that we picked.
Interesting is an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, you draft a guy with the last pick in the NFL draft that is the NCAA all-time leader in forced fumbles with 17.
That's crazy.
He was last year a second-team AP All-American in college football from Buffalo. And, I mean, this guy just constantly creates turnovers and makes plays on defense.
It's wild to hear that, right? The NCAA all-time leader in forced fumbles and second-team AP All-American, but yet he's Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, and most people would be like, well, how is this guy not a day one, day two pick?
Yeah.
Well, let's get into his strengths and weaknesses. So his strengths, he is a tackle for loss machine. 39 and a half tackles for loss in 3 seasons. Wow.
39 and a half over 3 seasons.
Most teams, I don't
That's
think.
13 per season.
I bet most teams in college football don't have that number in the same amount of time.
Right, yeah, as a team.
As a team, and he did it by himself.
Individual.
And if you look at 17 forced fumbles in probably 3-4 seasons, most teams don't have that amount of forced fumbles in that amount of time either.
Right, absolutely not.
Insane.
It's wild.
His heaviness in hands and pads as a striker. He is not afraid to go throw his body out on the line, to get the ball out, to get the defender on the ground. He's just a physical linebacker that's not afraid to use his physicality. That stands out to me the most.
And he uses it effectively based on the film.
Oh, absolutely. His ability to absorb blocks with his balance. He's not a super big guy. He's almost 6'2". He is 6'1" and 7/8", and he's 232. So, I mean, he's not the smallest guy, but he's also not the biggest guy on the field.
He's not hefty, that's for sure.
No, and you watch that tape, he's not taking blocks from tight ends either, and that's what we're talking about. It's offensive linemen. Dude's 100 pounds bigger than him and almost 6 inches taller than him. He is moving them more than they're moving him.
Bouncing right off of him.
And that's insane. His ability to work around a block and literally smack them off. Not like figuratively. Literally.
Yeah.
Smack them off.
Get out of my way.
Insane. And his ability to pursue with leverage and his play finishing ability.
Yeah, it's remarkable. This guy, watching his tape was actually surprising. It was fascinating. I actually really enjoyed watching him play.
Yeah, he there was a couple things that stood out that were flaws that could be coached.
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy, for being Mr. Irrelevant, I would consider him a steal.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So now let's get into the weaknesses. What made this guy Mr. Irrelevant? He typically has coverage confusion that leads to big plays, and that is a big one.
Yeah.
As a linebacker, your goal isn't just to stop the run, get to the quarterback, force turnovers. It is to cover running backs and tight ends out of the backfield and watch the middle of the field. And he struggles with that in the coverage part. He makes good plays in coverage, but it's not consistent enough to sustain in the NFL level. That is definitely going to have to be coached out for him to be a linebacker at the NFL level. He has below average reaction time and flow to stay ahead of blocks. Yeah, we said that his ability to get off blocks was great, but sometimes he finds himself so out of place that he has no other choice but to be absorbed by that block and get himself taken out of the play.
Yeah.
He has restrictive agility and lateral quickness, and because of that, he is missing that sideline-to-sideline quickness that most teams are looking for and want in a linebacker, and that's why he fell.
Yeah, Red's really an old-school Mike linebacker. You know, he attacks the gaps very efficiently, and he's great at stopping the run, which is important for this defense. But this is not the linebacker the Broncos need. They needed a sideline-to-sideline backer who can be effective in coverage. Red's not that. You know, I see him as a special team player again. and that's where he's going to stand out, and that's where he's going to make his mark on this team, especially if he can force turnovers on special teams. That's going to be a huge benefit to us. But I can also see him getting an opportunity, as long as he can prove himself and work himself to this level. I can see him being super effective in short yardage situations because of the way that he attacks gaps.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the leverage that you talked about as well. So he's going to be able to, stop a 4th and 1 or a 3rd and 2, whatever the case may be. And so I think he might have an opportunity there as well. But being so situational, he's got to work his ass off to actually make the roster to get those opportunities.
Yeah, I could definitely see a situation where him and Onyedim are put in a package on the goal line or a short yardage situation just to stop the run specifically because their ability to do so.
Yep, I agree. Yep. Absolutely.
So next up, we are going to be grading each of these draft picks. But before we do that, we're going to take another word from our sponsor.
Buying your first home can definitely be a struggle. So many lenders out there just focus on getting you to the finish line and don't educate you and teach you what's going on as it's happening. Here at Pathway Home Lending, we actually specialize in home buyer education. We want to take our time and make sure that you understand the process. We want to also make sure that you understand what these documents mean. It's a huge investment, and it's important that you do it right. So instead of just a loan originator, you need an advisor. One of the home loan advisors at Pathway Home Lending are happy to help. Give us a call at 303-748-3799 or go to our website at pathwayhomelending.com to learn how we can advise you in the biggest purchase of your life. Again, Pathway Home Lending. Your pathway home starts here.
All right. 7 total picks. I know most people aren't going to like majority of the picks that we had.
Yeah, because it wasn't sexy. It wasn't splashy.
But that don't matter.
I think it was an efficient draft.
I would agree.
And we'll talk more about that when we grade the draft overall.
Exactly. So what we're going to do, we're going to grade each draft pick individually, and then afterwards we're going to grade the entire draft class as a whole.
All right, let's do it.
So we're going to alternate our grades. We're both going to grade them, but who goes first and breaks it down a little more is we're going to alternate.
All right.
So I'm going to have you start it off.
Okay.
And give me your grade first on Tyler Onyedim.
Tyler Onyedim is a very intriguing draft pick for me. I think that his upside potential is incredible. I think he has an opportunity to really make an impact on this team. I'm not going to say week 1. I'm definitely not going to say week 1 because I think right now this was a depth pick. He wasn't picked to be a starter, so he's going to have to learn. He's going to have to develop some of those weaknesses that we talked about. Yep. I'm going to give Tyler Onyedim I'm going to go B-.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm giving him such a high pick is because it was a 3rd-round pick. I think his upside is gives him the potential to be a much higher pick in this year's draft. But those weaknesses that I fully believe can be improved are what made him slide to a 3rd-round pick. And I think with the coaching of this coaching staff, I can see him actually being a major contributor to this team. So I'm going to go with that B-.
Yeah, I like that. I am going to have to go with a C+ on him just solely for the fact, and it's no diss to who he is as a player or anything. It's just more so for the fact that I personally think we could have took a more important position of need at that pick.
I cannot disagree with you there.
Yep. I think Onyedim is going to be a great player in our defense and on our team, but like I said, I just think we could have taken more of a positional need right there. Yeah. So that's why I give it a C+.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up, we got running back Jonah Coleman, and this pick I'm super excited about. This was the guy I wanted the most out of the draft. I think he has the most raw talent out of the running backs in the class, but he's not the most flashy, and so that's why he's not the number 1 back in the class. Right. But, I mean, this guy has almost all the skills, assets, tangibles, whatever you want to name them, he has them to fit this team and make an almost immediate impact just because where he's going to land in the depth chart. He's going to be number 3 at best or 2B at best.
Right.
And for that, I'm going to have to give this pick, I'm going to go straight B.
Okay.
Because I think not by the end of the season, but when JK's gone, I think it's going to be him and Harvey running the show. Yeah. Not number 1 and 2, 1A, 1B. And I think he's going to need some time to develop, learn the system, because Sean Payton's system is hard for a running back. You almost have to know it just as well as the quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think Jonah Coleman has everything to make that happen. He just needs time. And this, where he's at and what team he landed on, gives him time to do exactly that. I think he's going to be a dog.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a dog too. But you said that when JK's gone, did you give him an injury already? Is he already out?
No. I would never do that. But I mean, history.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
you know, but
it's a pattern.
I love JK. I'm a big JK fan. But
I am too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give you my grade on Jonah Coleman. I think it's a great pick. The fact that we were still able to get him in the 4th round, because I really did expect us to pick him at when we had the 62nd overall pick. I expected Jonah Coleman to be that in the 2nd round. So the fact that he was still there in the 4th round, I mean, we talked about his weaknesses, and I think that's why he slid the way that he did. But I think there's such tremendous value in Jonah Coleman at 108th overall that I want to give this pick a B+, because I see so much upside in this pick that I think it is going to be we're going to look back at it at the end of this season and think, wow, what an amazing pick he was.
I like to think this guy has a name from the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Cage Casey, offensive lineman from Boise State. This guy's kind of interesting. He's a swing lineman. He can play tackle and guard. What grade do you give the pick?
You know, I'm going to give Cage – this is a tough one. Being a 4th round pick, I'm going to go with a C- because I went back and forth between a D+ and a C-, and I'm going to go C- only because there's so much leadership in this guy.
Yep.
What he does in the community, like we talked about as well. But I think just that leadership pushes me to a C-. And I think it's because of the uncertainty of where he's going to play. I'm convinced he's going to be a guard. I don't think he's going to be swing. I think he's going to find his groove in that guard position. So my grade for Cage Casey is a C-.
Yeah, I mean, I think he would definitely dwell and have a better career if he switched to guard full-time. And I think if he does that, and I'm going to base my grade on the pick off of him moving to guard full-time. So with that, I think I'm going to give it a C+.
Okay.
Just because I think if this guy does move to guard, he will be a very good guard in the NFL just because he has the skills for a guard. His footwork is lacking, and he struggles with his hand movements against pass rush. That's the biggest thing you want in a tackle. You don't have to worry about that as much as an offensive guard. Hand movements, yes, you want those developed with him no matter what. But I think his lack of footwork, you develop it into a guard, would almost make more sense for him than a tackle.
I think he can thrive in that guard position.
I absolutely agree, and that's why I'd have to give it a C+.
Yeah.
This pick I'm most excited for. Justin Joly, tight end. He has the most upside, I think, out of any of the picks and the most potential. So I think I'm going to have to give this one a B+. Not quite an A, just because he is missing the run blocking, like assets and everything that he needs to be almost the elite A-grade draft prospect, or draft pick, I should say.
You know, the Justin Joly is so intriguing to me, and I like your grade, but I don't want this guy run blocking. I want him catching passes. I want him scoring touchdowns. And so I'm going to give him an A- just because of the so much upside potential that Justin Joly has.
All right.
I think that we're going to look back at even midway through this season and say, wow, what an incredible value for a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
So I love the pick, and because he was there in the 5th round, that's why I'm going to go ahead and give him an A-. I'm expecting big things out of him this year, and I'm hoping that I'm not eating crow at the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't think he will be. I think he's going to be a stud. So
let's go, Justin Joly. I got your back, bro.
Next up, Miles Scott. This guy, yeah, I mean, going back to it, he's just an interesting prospect overall. And it's hard to tell his potential and everything, but, I mean, I think, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's tough, man.
He's a hard one. He's a hard one to grade because, he's a safety and his weaknesses are coverage, speed, ball skills, and versatility. And so it's hard to give him a grade on that. But at the same time, we do need special teams help. We do need those special team aces that are going to come in and do exactly what they're meant to do, and that's to get downfield and make a tackle and make a play on special teams.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this pick a D+, just because there's so much to prove still.
Yeah, I think I'm going to almost meet you, and I'm going to go C-. Just because I believe if he went on any other team, I'd probably meet you at a D-. But just because he's on the Broncos that have and always notoriously have had a great secondary, I think he's going to learn so much about being a safety and those coverage skills. I'm not by any means saying he's going to be a star safety in the league, but I think he's going to learn enough to be a quality backup safety in the NFL.
Yeah, I like that take.
On top of being a great special teamer.
All right, it's a good take.
Mr. Bentley. Dallin Bentley. This guy's kind of that weird upside pick that has a lot of potential, but also he's just so far in the depth chart, you're just questioning where he's going to land come camp and preseason and regular season. I think this pick, I think I'm going to go D on this one.
Okay.
Just because I feel like we didn't necessarily need to double dip at tight end after we re-signed Troutman, Andrew Beck, and Adam Prentice when all three of those guys play the same position this guy does. Granted, I think Dallin Bentley is a better pass catcher than all three of those guys, maybe even combined. But the pick, it just felt like not a panic pick, but more so like definitely a project pick, almost like Caleb Lohner last year.
Yeah, you almost have to wonder if the intent here was also special teams. I'm not so sure, though. I agree with your D grade for Dallin Bentley. I think there could be some potential, for him to really show what he can do. I have major concerns about the weaknesses, especially his blocking. I mean, if he's being drafted as a blocking tight end, but that's also something that's kind of counted against him. It's an interesting take, so I'm going to stick with that D as well. Last
but certainly not least, Mr. Irrelevant, Red Murdock.
Red is absolutely a pick that just has me kind of intrigued. Because watching his tape, I think he can be incredible. I think he's got a skill set that is going to make plays, and I'm talking about forcing turnovers specifically. That's something that this man specializes in, and if he can continue to do that for us on whether it be special teams, I think if he could do it on special teams, he's going to earn himself an opportunity to get some reps at linebacker. I'm going to give this pick a C-, again, only because there's so much uncertainty as to whether or not he can develop the skills that he needs to be a full-fledged Mike linebacker.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. He is a great run defender, but he's lacking so much in the coverage and the sideline to sideline that it makes you question if he could get those good enough to where he can succeed as a linebacker.
I agree.
I'm going to have to say I give it a C just because I like his upside and potential so much, and I kind of want to see him as a linebacker, gain those tangibles and just become a really good linebacker because that's all he's missing.
Yeah.
He has the IQ, the sense, the physicality, and the mentality to play linebacker and succeed at it, but he has to figure out that coverage and get a little quicker side to side.
Yeah. He is a dog, and that's what I want to see out of him.
Absolutely. So now I want us to take all 7 of those picks and give it 1 grade.
Okay, this is tough because there's a lot of solid picks here but it's all hope at this point, right? We're hoping that they pan out. But, every team that drafted players this weekend also is living off of hope, right? How many times have we seen a number 1 overall pick be an absolute bust? It happens so frequently.
Too often than not.
Yeah. And so I think we just need to kind of be a little more – I need to be a little more reserved in giving the team a grade here. I'm going to call this overall a C-. as the draft for the Denver Broncos. The reason I'm giving him that score is because I think there could have been some other picks. There were players on the board, especially in that third round, that we could have picked that was much more of a position of need for us and has been consistently a position of need for us. We did feel some of that. I love the Justin Jolie pick at the tight end. Yep. I think that could potentially solve that void. Obviously Jonah Coleman, I think he's going to be a solution to our running back dilemma. Can he be long-term? I certainly hope so. Question's out. And that's why I'm going C instead of a D. So C is my grade for the Denver Broncos in this year's draft.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be very close to you, and I'm going to say a C+. Okay. Just because I think majority of our picks are upside and potential picks, and I think they're going to, not all of them, but most of them are going to work out and pan out. Not instantly, but
over time.
3-4 years. These are going to be household names in Denver. Again, not all 7 of these guys, but I would probably bet my money on 3 of them being here for at least 4 or 5 years and having decent careers while they're here.
That'd make it a pretty successful draft.
I'd agree.
That's the case. Any of these guys you think that don't make the roster this year?
I could see one of them more than likely.
Yeah.
Just because the depth that we have and just the skill set. Yeah. 2 of some of these guys and where they fit in with the other position they're in and their skill sets. It's kind of I could see 1, maybe 2. But, I mean, truthfully, I hope all these guys make the roster. I think all these guys are talented enough to make the roster. I don't hope that one of these guys doesn't make the roster. I really want these guys to succeed and have a good career. All of them.
I do too.
Just because the potential that all of them have, and I think they'd all be good contributors to the team that we have. But, I mean, it's the NFL draft. The NFL is a business, too. So, I mean, more than likely, we will probably see one of these guys not make the roster.
Yep, I agree with that. I think there's one. I wouldn't point to one specifically that doesn't make the roster, but I'm willing to bet there's a player on this draft that doesn't make it.
Absolutely.
Doesn't make the cut.
Absolutely. So before we wrap things up, we are going to take another quick minute to get a word from our sponsor.
Pathway Home Lending is your local and reliable home loan advisors. Our team is dedicated to your success and making your dream a reality. That dream is buying a home. It's not an easy process, so you need a professional advisor in your corner to guide you through that process. Let Pathway Home Lending be that advisor for you. Check us out online at pathwayhomelending.com or give us a call, 303-748-3799. All right, before we close this episode, I want to give a huge shout out to Broncos Country. The last podcast that we did about Bo Nix being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, you guys have absolutely blown that up, and we appreciate the love and support that you've given us. And please don't stop. Don't stop sharing. Don't stop liking. Don't stop subscribing. We need your support to keep this channel going. We appreciate you so much, Broncos Country.
Round of applause for you guys. So that is going to wrap up the second episode of the Under the Lights podcast by Mountain Sports. I love going over the draft and the draft picks. I think it's super fun to see what players are going to be added to your team and the young guys that come in. And the coolest part is these guys are living a dream. They've thought about this moment since they were kids, and it's real. Came true. Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's my favorite part about it. So all you draft picks, I hope you guys succeed. I hope you guys have long and successful careers as Broncos, of course. Nobody else in the AFC West. And I think it will happen. Just keep your head down, keep grinding.
And welcome to Denver. We're
Absolutely.
glad you're here.
Make sure to follow Mountain Sports on all social media, TikTok, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube, like, follow, turn on post noties. More podcasts coming more frequently and more often, so stay tuned and stay notified when those drop. Make sure to follow me on all social media. They will be in the description, and they have popped up on the screen throughout the podcast. Make sure to follow Rock on social media. Same with him. And whenever you're watching, I hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
And if you see us out and about at a game, come up and say what's up. We'd love to meet you. Love to chat, talk sports with you.
Peace out.
Peace.